I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning. With that, we'll start with the consent agenda as listed, minutes, payroll, vouchers, earnings collections, NRWD petitions, contracts for special funding, renewal of 2 leases at the complex.
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as listed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And passes. So just on time, or a little early. We have planning and zoning, but since it's a public hearing, we'll have to wait a couple minutes. So we can sign some of these things that we just passed.
You Beving's the chairman.
Yeah, that's an old document, so we'll just let it go. Haven't caught up on that yet.
This is separate. It's just a parcel. Yeah, it's created by this. It's existing.
I mean, it's just the one signature on this packet. You expecting the engineers or clients? No.
Rusty.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing yeah. Good morning, Rusty.
It's 9:35, so we'll open the public hearing for Gillette North, minor subdivision 66 sketch plan. And Kim Delvin and Jenny from the planning office.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the applicant for this project is Donald Gillette. This property is in the GRP zoning district. The planning area is Powell. And we did receive and this is a minor subdivision review. We did receive that application from Mr. Gillette on March 23rd of this year, including payment and a copy of the sketch plan and a copy of the notice of intent to subdivide. And then we received a revised sketch plan on September 1st, and you can see that in figure 1. And the applicant requests approval of a 2-lot minor subdivision. Lot 1 will be 12.9 acres. Lot 2 will be 22 acres. And again, you can see that in figure 1. And so the history of this in August of 2004, the Thompson simple subdivision, which was a 2-lot simple subdivision, was approved. That is just north of this proposed subdivision, but that was all, including this parcel, existing parcel, is part of the same tract of record. And as you know, to determine if something needs to go through simple or minor or major subdivision review, we have to look at the entire tract of record. That's why this is a minor, because we had to count those 2 lots from the Thompson simple subdivision. This property is owned by Don and Dana Gillette. You can see the location, you can see in figure 2, this property is just south of Powell, about 1.5 miles. It's a half mile west of Highway 295, and it's on the east side of Road 10, and it's a little way south of County Road 11. The site characteristics, we have that shown in figure 3. This property is flat, really no change in elevation. In terms of neighboring land use, we have a map in figure 4 that shows neighboring land uses. There are some subdivisions around it. Like I said, just north is a 2-lot subdivision. And there are agricultural lands in the area and other residential classified lands in the area. As I mentioned, this is in the GRP zoning district. The lots as proposed are consistent with that. This property is not within a mile of Powell, so municipal review is not required. Notice of intent to subdivide was published on March 24th and March 31st this year in the Powell Tribune. This is, as you know, a public hearing. Those notices were also in the Powell Tribune. One was in the paper on September 6th. One was on September 13th. We also sent that certified notice to neighboring property owners. That was mailed on September 2nd. We shared the staff report with you and with the applicant and with the applicant's representative prior to today. Agency referrals, you know, we have a list of agencies that we're required to notify. We notify other agencies we think might have an interest. We have a list of the agencies that responded. Park County Fire District 1 responded. They said they could provide fire protection. The post office responded. They said they will be able to deliver mail once the residents are ready for mail delivery. Garland Light and Power responded. They said they have the ability to provide electrical service to these lots. Lot 1 and 2 will be served by an overhead line running along Road 10. It's on the west side of Road 10, so Garland said they will have to build across the road for that. And they said they will require an easement to be able to do that. And that easement will be from the Eastman's property, which is would be on the west side of Road 10 to be able to get that line. And we talked with Garland Light and Power, where originally there was a 3rd lot that was referenced, and we corrected them and said there are only 2 lots. So the service to lot 3 and their communication can be disregarded. And of course, this is a minor, and so electricity will have to be made adjacent to each lot. And to my knowledge, that's not occurred yet. Weed and pest, we had a letter from Mary. And she did, and we shared that with you. She did find the presence of noxious weeds, and a weed management plan will be required. And again, I believe we shared with you her first letter. I don't believe a weed plan has yet been approved. Is that correct? Do you know? I think we just shared that weed letter with you from Mary. We received a letter from TCT. They said they have wireless service in the area. They said they may be able to provide internet and phone to this location. Park County Treasurer stated that property taxes are current. We did receive a kind of a standard email back from DEQ talking about contacts and what would be necessary should construction activities need to occur that would affect water, is my belief. Game and Fish responded. They have no major concerns. Again, they're concerned with the number of proposed subdivisions in the county. Park County School District 1 said they will be able to provide bus services if that's required. We did receive a soils report. 4 soil types were identified, and we have a list in that paragraph. This is on page 7 of our staff report, talking about the characteristics and any limitations regarding those soils. We received a letter back from MDU. We shared that with you. They said they do have natural gas service that would be available. Right now, their main line stops at the intersection of Road 10 and Lane 11, which is just about a little over 300 feet north of the northwest corner of this existing parcel. So they do have the capacity to provide a main to serve these 2 lots, cost to the developer. They talked about an easement being required, and they said this new main will terminate in the northwest corner of proposed lot 2. And again, since this is a minor, and since this is and it's natural gas and it's within 400 feet, our regs say natural gas has to be stubbed to each lot line. Public Works responded in August of this year. They talked about legal access from County Road 10. They said they reiterated no new roads are proposed. They mentioned a field access on proposed lot 1, and they said it appears the intent would be a new access to lot 2. They talked about the frontage for lot 2 having a Shoshone irrigation ditch between the parcel and the county road. And as you saw in the photographs, I know this is relative, but it seems like that ditch is pretty wide. And so you will notice on the sketch plan that the applicant and his surveyor has an easement through lot 1 to access lot 2, because our conclusion is there really is no way to directly access lot 2 because of that wide irrigation ditch. Public Works talked about right-of-way permits being required. They also said they don't have any concern with drainage and erosion control. Shoshone Irrigation District responded. They stated they will have the subdivision have a water use association and a water master. And they do have a copy of the water distribution plan. To our knowledge, it's not been approved yet. We've not received any public comments, Madam Chair. There was a pre-app meeting on September 9th of last year. We did receive an application in March of this year for this subdivision. We do have a copy of the title report. No new roads are proposed. Solid waste disposal service is available through private companies. I mentioned Garland Light and Power will provide electricity. MDU will provide gas. Again, those 2 things have not been made adjacent to these proposed lots. To our knowledge, there's no hazards on either of these lots. You did receive a copy of the sketch plan. In terms of wastewater, we do have percolation test data that was collected on proposed lot 2. August of this year, perk rates were 14 to 17, ranged from 14 to 17 minutes per inch. We also received a data from an excavation cut, 10 feet, no water, no impervious layers were discovered. So we feel conventional septic systems will be sufficient. There was a water analysis that was conducted from a well in the area, and I think it's the Gillette wells, just I think a little bit south of, well, in the neighborhood of this property, within half a mile. No E. coli or coliform was detected. Lead or arsenic also weren't detected. Nitrogen was detected at 0.03, which is low. TDS was reported at 158, and again, which is low, or at least below the maximum level. Majority of this property in terms of ag impacts is in undeveloped irrigated cropland. This property is not in an ag overlay district. And our belief is essentially, we don't feel the applicant has proposed any changes with this subdivision that will negatively impact neighboring ag activities. I mentioned it's in the Shoshone Irrigation District. They do have a water distribution plan. Our belief that, to our knowledge, it's not been approved. Since this is a minor, that our conclusion is no state review is required regarding irrigation. The subdivision is not within any overlay district. Planning and zoning reviewed the sketch plan, recommended approval on August of this year. And you had a chance to look at their recommended conditions, some of which have been met, some have not been met. Madam Chair, we have findings. We recommend approval of this sketch plan, and we have a whole list of conditions that we'd like to read. Will you read those? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's a big list.
Number one, the applicant shall provide all easements as requested by applicable utilities in special districts, irrigation districts, or public agencies providing services. The width of any utility easement shall be sufficient to allow adequate maintenance of the system, but in no case shall such utility easement be less than 20 feet in width. Easements must be identified on the final plat. Number two, the applicant shall provide an approved long-term noxious weed management plan to the Planning and Zoning Department prior to final plat review by the Board of County Commissioners. Number three, the applicant shall provide to the Planning and Zoning Department a review and recommendations from the Shoshone Irrigation District regarding the final water distribution plan prior to final plat review by the Board of County Commissioners. Number four, the applicant shall show the approximate location of the varied irrigation tile drain on the final plat. Number five, the applicant shall place a note on the final plat stating a varied irrigation tile drain exists across the subdivision and the exact location is unknown, adding that each individual lot owner should contact Shoshone Irrigation District prior to commencing construction. The applicant shall obtain the utility easement from the neighboring property to benefit Garland Light and Power for the installation of power infrastructure prior to final plat review by the Board of County Commissioners. The applicant shall place a condition on a final plat that any access approach that is intended to serve the lots of the subdivision shall meet Park County Road Bridge standards and will require a right-of-way permit from Park County Public Works Department. Number eight, following board approval of the sketch plan and prior to the board's review of the final plat, the applicant shall submit an appropriate subdivision improvements agreement addressing all applicable required improvements. An example, utilities, road, irrigation system, mailboxes, etc., for review by staff and approval of the county attorney board. Number nine, if lot 1 and lot 2 will share any improvements such as irrigation facilities, the applicant shall submit a draft homeowners association agreement to the Planning and Zoning Department prior to final plat review by the county commissioners. Number 10, the applicant shall place the following note on the plat: any proposed water wells on these subdivision lots shall be permitted by the Wyoming State Engineer's Office prior to installation. Number 11, the final plat shall contain a notice of the Wyoming Right to Farm and Ranch Act of 1991. And number 12, the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in the Park County Development Regulation and the minimum subdivision requirement that's set forth in Wyoming Statute 185306.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so I would ask if there's any public comment at this time.
Chair, I'll move to the public hearing. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. It's the pleasure of the board.
Move to approve, Madam Chair, with conditions as read.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minor subdivision, Gillette minor subdivision 66 as submitted.
Madam Chair, just a question on that, on the drain tiles, because it's unknown,
and they need to contact Shown Irrigation. Do they have a map of those drain tiles so that we could avoid what happened between 11.5 and 11 the last time?
I don't know. Do you know,
So,
Jenny?
I
if they-
believe there's a map, and Rusty can speak probably better to this. It's just that the exact location, he has them
No.
mapped out.
Yeah, it's rough, and on an aerial, especially with the 2020 aerial, you can actually kind of see, a little bit of a line in the field, there's an angle. And on a final plat, we'll have that.
Okay.
Shown, it's just, yeah, like you said, like an underground utility, the exact location, not going to find that prior. to construction.
And your name for the record, please.
And Madam Chair, speaking of that, we also anticipate there'll be an easement where that tile drain is. Is that your understanding? That the irrigation district, I assume, would want that?
They've given them.
Yeah, that's right.
Any further discussion on the motion to approve with conditions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
I have-
2292.
I have Madam Chair.
This for the next one?
Yeah, this is,
Okay.
this is for Diamond View.
Okay.
Madam Chair, there are 3 pages that show, one shows a site plan, one shows an enlarged site plan, one shows a floor plan, and the other one is the irrigation plan.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, we just received those this morning.
Okay.
So we've not had a chance to review them.
Okay.
I assume there's some changes on them, but the applicant did not tell us what
What
those
change?
changes were. Other than the erosion control plan, that's new.
Okay.
But the other 3 pages are updates to maps we have in the staff report.
Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is also a public hearing. Diamond View Ranch special use permit number 240, again with Tim and Jenny, planning and zoning.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the applicants for this are the Blankenships. This property is in the Cody Powell Rural Planning Area. The zoning district is GRP. We did receive a special use application from the Blankenships on June 2nd of this year, including drawings and a vicinity map and a discussion of type of activities and whether or not there'll be any impact on adjacent properties. And again, we just shared with you an update, new map, 3 new copies of maps. So the applicants request approval of the special use permit. This will be an event center business serving as a venue for weddings, family reunions, class reunions, retirement parties, team building events, wedding showers, baby showers, and other similar events. The business will operate in a proposed 1,600 square feet event center and with a 480 square foot lounge building that will contain restrooms and changing facilities. There'll also be a small concrete patio, an outdoor ceremony area, and of course, there'll be a parking area, which you had a chance to see, and there'll be a drive getting to the facility. We've classified this as minor commercial business, which our definition is retail and service businesses and office uses with building size less than 5,000 square feet of floor area and less than 1 acre of land developed in association with the use. And I anticipate this, but when we looked at the parking area, the buildings, sort of the land in between, like the patio, we concluded that this whole area will be just under 1 acre. However, really probably not counting that drive. We didn't really count that. The location of this property, you can see in figure 1, it's a half mile west of Highway 294. It's 6.5 miles north of the intersection of Highway 294 and Highway 14A. And again, this is a parcel. And Madam Chair, you can also see in figure 2, we show a map of the neighboring land uses, primarily agriculture. However, just to the north, it's BLM managed land. And I will mention, when you look at figure 2, the 35 acre parcel where this event center will be located is in red. And that 35 acre parcel just to the east, that's also owned by the Blankenships. Site characteristic, this property is currently vacant. There is some slope. The property is currently used for grazing, and you're familiar, of course, with this area. And really just south of this parcel is where crop production and hay production begins. And there will be a gravel driveway that is shown on some of the maps, some of the site plans that will be used to access this property. And of course, they'll access from Highway 294, and they go through neighboring property and then to the East Blankenship parcel to get to this parcel. As I mentioned, this is in the GRP zoning district, and in that district, minor commercial business uses are allowed provided an SUP is approved. So, as I mentioned before, we shared with you a site plan that was given to us by the applicant that is in figure 4. It shows that event center location relative to the remaining portion of this 35-acre parcel, shows the 30-foot wide driveway. Also, you can see in figure 4 that the driveway will go through a fence and a gate. The applicant will plan to have horses, or they do have horses in this area.
Real quickly, there's an inconsistency on the new paperwork we got. The second page has a 20-foot wide crushed gravel road. The third page or fourth page has a 30-foot wide crushed gravel road. Do we know what the plan is?
I don't, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm sure the applicant can inform us.
Okay.
And then in figure 5, you see an enlarged site plan, and that shows the event center, that shows that smaller building with the restroom. It shows the patio, it shows the parking area, and it shows will they plan to put in a septic tank and drain field. And then, Madam Chair, in figure 6, there are floor plans where essentially there's more detail regarding the event center. They show indoor lights. There's 2 large doors on both ends of the event center. There's smaller doors, one on the northwest corner, one on the northeast corner. They also show to the northeast of the event center kind of a kitchenette area because they're planning to have a microwave, a refrigerator, sinks. And then, of course, they also show a floor plan of the restrooms. So you had a chance to see all of those. Oh, and I should mention, Madam Chair, all events will have food catering is what they anticipate, and other refreshments and possibly music. And all these will have to be arranged by customers. So the applicants will not do any of this. And the applicant said customer traffic is expected to be infrequent. So they expect vehicle impact to driveway to be minimal. This property is not within a mile of the municipality, so that review is not required. Notice of public hearing, of course, was required. This is a public hearing. Those notices were in the Powell Tribune for this hearing on September 6th and September 13th. Written notice was mailed to neighboring property owners on September 2nd. We shared the staff report with you and with the applicant prior to today. We had a list of agencies we wanted to notify that we thought might have a relevant interest. Black Hills Energy responded. They explained how natural gas could be extended to this property. It currently is not extended, and the applicants are choosing not to have it extended. They will use propane to heat. Garland Light and Power responded, talking about the requirements for extending electricity to this property and the need for an easement. So the Blankenships will have electricity go to this event center. Heart Mountain Irrigation responded. This property has no water rights. Our conclusion is that this use will not impact any irrigation facilities. DEQ responded again with contact information. Park County Treasurer said taxes are fully paid on this property. YDOT responded. Jack Hoffman said he has no concerns, provided access is through an existing easement. And that is, our understanding is that currently exists. Nick Hudson, Bighorn Basin Fire Inspector, said they will require a plan review through them for this use. And to my knowledge, that's not occurred yet. Department of Ag responded. They said they received an application from the applicants, which has been approved. Fire district responded. They said they can provide fire protection. Game and Fish had no comments. Conservation District responded. They identified 7 soil types along with their characteristics and conditions. Public Works responded. They commented that legal access to the parcel is from a 40-foot wide access. They said the driveway should be an all-weather road, sufficient for emergency vehicle travel. They wanted a site drainage plan submitted to their office for approval. Madam Chair, that's one of the pages that we shared with you. So we just received that again this morning, but we have shared it with Public Works. And that Public Works wanted this venue to be addressed, should it be approved. Weed and Pest responded. Mary did the initial inspection. However, given conditions, she said a weed plan will not be required. Public comments, we did receive a letter in July from the Dreyfuses, which are neighbors just to the east of the Blankenship's property. They had concerns, and you had a chance to see their letter. Planning and Zoning reviewed this on August 17th of this year. They recommended conditions, but they recommended approval. One of their conditions was a response from Weed and Pest. That condition has been met. The third condition was a surface plan to Public Works. Again, that condition has been met, but we don't know Public Works' response. We just gave that to them this morning. And number 5, evidence of approval of a plan from the Department of Fire Prevention, Electrical Safety. So to our knowledge, that plan approval has not been met. Madam Chair, I'm on page 11. I'll try to briefly talk about how compatibility will be achieved. The Blankenships basically said they don't anticipate this to be a problem, in part because there'll be a large distance between this venue and their neighbors. And there's properties to the Jamie and Jesse, the Blankenships, said they own also the east parcel. So again, there's some distance. They talked about the size of these facilities. The applicants said they will limit this use to no more than 120 participants at a time. However, that may change based on what the fire inspector said. They talked about electricity from Garlow Mountain Power. They mentioned they're planning the number of events to be 3 to 6 in January or April. This is their estimate, 3 to 6 events. They're hoping for 12 to 15 May through August and 6 to 8 September through December. Domestic water will be provided by existing well. Days of operation essentially every day of the week. The applicant will be the only employees. And again, customers will be responsible for catering. This use is not within 20 feet of any county road right-of-way. No covenants are proposed or existing. The structure will have outdoor lighting, and I believe the parking area will have outdoor lighting, but they're planning all these to be down directed to limit light trespass. Property has no known nonconformities, no nuisances have been reported. Access does exist from Highway 294. We did have the applicants submit a domestic water quality test from this existing well. No coliform was detected. Nitrogen was detected at 1.8 milliliters per liter, below that maximum contaminant level of 10. And TDS was not detected. The applicant said the well produces 12 to 15 gallons per minute, and they're planning a 1,600 gallon cistern to help with sufficient water quantity. Madam Chair, I'll just mention real briefly parking, because we use this technically is a non-residential use. Our regs say that requires 1 parking space for each 400 square feet of floor area. So given that, parking appears adequate, but also the Blankenships on their plan said parking will be in an area 150 by 113 square feet. So that's almost 1,700 square feet. And if you consider a parking area to be 10 by 20, then they would have almost 85 parking spaces. So we feel that parking should be adequate. The use is in an ag overlay district. Of course, that gives you an opportunity, should you approve this, to make conditions, should you affect to make changes in your conditions, should you think this will affect ag or ag might affect this use. Madam Chair, this use does require site plan review. However, because of the size of the venue, and we feel it would be just under 1 acre in size, site plan review is not required. Madam Chair, we recommend approval, and we have some recommended conditions if you do approve. One is Park County noise, lighting, and other nuisance regulations shall apply. Number 2 is the applicant shall provide a site drainage plan to Public Works for their review and approval. That has been provided to Public Works, so that might be a condition you might want to eliminate. Number 3 was the applicant shall otherwise comply with the requirements of Park County Public Works prior to commencement of the use. I know Public Works recommended that the venue be addressed if it's approved. Number 4, the applicant shall provide evidence of an approved plan from Department of Fire Prevention and Safety prior to commencement of the use. And 5, the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in Park County in the Park County Development Standards and Regulations. And we are happy to answer questions should you have any.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
One quick question. What does the term comprehensive surface plan mean? That's a new one to me.
Our understanding was that Public Works wanted a erosion and drainage control plan, and also I think maybe to have the applicants address that road that people will use.
I was just curious. I was just, in the past, it's been very specific and that's kind of a broad term.
Yes. I was a little confused too.
Any other questions from the commissioners at this time?
So the applicant is here. The question you brought up is contradicting. The enlargement venue plan shows a 20-foot wide road, and then the enlarged site plan with the erosion control shows a 30. So which is it?
Well, so we've
Could
been
you-
waiting.
Could you state your name, please, for the record?
Jamie
For-
Blankenship.
Okay, thank you.
We've been waiting for 3 months for the electrical, so Garland Power and Light. So they're actually in the process of making that like an easement. So it sort of depends on if they want the easement to be 30 or 20 and how they do that easement.
Well, the easement is going to be 40 foot. That's written.
Okay,
But the
so then
road
that-
surface itself, and I do know, what I'm not sure is Public Works as one of the conditions to provide, comply with Park County Public Works. My question is the emergency services that it's addressed in their concern is 20 foot coming all the way from the highway may not allow for traffic to pass. So I'm suggesting that it be 30.
Okay,
Yeah. Which would be a narrow 2-lane, but at least you'd be able to pass somebody. If it was gonna be 30, I wasn't gonna worry about
yeah, we could do 30. I mean, it's just an open space, so. Just make it 30.
it. Kind of being out at the end of the road, that was my concern, is if emergency service, a fire truck or ambulance had to come in, somebody's coming out, you're stuck, somebody's backing up.
Any other questions from the commissioners at this time? This is a public hearing, so I'd ask if there's any public comment.
Chair, I move we close public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the Diamond View Ranch SUP 240 with the recommended condition.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval with conditions. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Commissioners.
Passes. Thank you.
2022-93.
Busy year.
Okay, we're actually a little bit behind, so we will keep moving. Next is a public hearing for Merit Energy SUP number 242. Mr. Delavan, again.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So the applicant for this project is Merit Energy Company. This planning area is in Sage Creek. It's not a zoning district because this will occur should it be approved. This tower will be located on BLM property, so it's not in a zoning district, although it is in the planning area. We did receive an application for this SUP on June 22nd from Merit Energy, showing plan view drawing, structure specifications and payment. And on August 1st, we did receive a letter from BLM giving consent to Merit Energy filing this special use permit. Essentially, BLM as the land manager. So this is up for your consideration as approval, this special use permit. It will allow construction and use of a 180-foot communication tower with antennas known as sectors, and then smaller antenna dishes. The largest antennas will be 26 inches long, 12 inches wide, 4 inches thick. The dishes vary in diameter from 18 to 10 inches. No lighting or sound will be created by this tower. And you can see in figure 1, we have a profile diagram of this tower, which will be guide. And we've classified this, since it is a tower over 35 feet in height, as major utility use. This tower, again, will be located on BLM managed land. The history, the proposed tower will be on Elk View. It's in the Oregon Basin oilfield area, land leased by Merit Energy. And this tower will replace a pre-existing communication tower that Merit said is deteriorating. And Merit said that this new tower will be vital to their operations. You can see in figure 2 the location of where this tower will be located. So it's several miles southeast of Cody. It's between County Road EFK and County Road 3EM. And of course, it's east of Highway 120. And I mentioned the unaddressed site. This property is on BLM land. It's zoned by the county. And even though it's on BLM managed land, it's not deeded property, or regulations still apply when it's a private development activity. And then, as you know, what we do is we go to the adjoining properties. We look at the majority of those zoning properties to find the zoning district to determine what is allowed and what permits needed. In this case, the adjoining property is GR 35, and their minor utility uses require an SUP. Hence, that's why we're going through this process. Site characteristics: elevation of the tower floor will be just over 6,000 feet. The tower location is surrounded by terrain with moderate changes in elevation. And you can see a topo map in figure 3. And again, this tower will replace an existing tower. You can see in figure 4 some of the neighboring land uses. The red triangle indicates where that tower will be located. Again, it's on BLM land. There is the closest deeded property is to the southwest, and that's used for agriculture. I'm on the bottom of page 6. The tower will have a concrete base. It'll be guide. It'll have guide wires. 5 anchor points on the tower to provide support. I believe there'll be 3 guide wires, so 3 anchor points for those. And there will be a communication shack close to this proposed tower, well, within 8 feet of the proposed tower. That will be necessary. Public hearing notices, those requirements have all been met. The notice we're in the Cody Enterprise, once on September 6th, once on September 13th. Written notice were mailed to property owners within 660 feet. That occurred on September 2nd. Staff report was sent to the applicant and shared with the Board of County Commissioners prior to today. Since this is an SUP, we're required to notify agencies we think might have a relevant interest. DEQ, we notified them. They responded again regarding permitting should it be necessary. Park County Treasurer, they responded. They sent us electronic document showing I believe it was all the properties that Merit Energy had a presence on, and none of those had delinquent taxes. So our conclusion was their taxes were current. And of course, BLM has tax exempt status. Game and Fish responded. They said this isn't a sage grouse core area. And they said sites should be designed to avoid and minimize impacts to that species. They commended the applicant for adopting several design choices that they thought were adequate to reduce collision for birds. Game and Fish also recommended the applicant submit the project for review via their density disturbance calculation tool. And to our we don't know if that, Madam Chair, we don't know if that's occurred yet. And you may or may not choose to have that as a condition. Public Works responded. They confirmed that access is from County Road 3FK. They said if new drives are proposed, a right-of-way permit would be required. And Public Works recommended that the tower include geotechnical foundation details and elements prepared under the direction of Wyoming licensed professional engineer. We have in our staff report, bottom of page 7, Park County Weed and Pests have not responded. We did get a response from Mary. We did not share that with you, but she did an inspection just the middle of this month. She found no noxious weeds in the area, and as a result, she will not recommend a weed management plan. However, she does recommend the applicant follow best management practices. We've not received any comments from Park County Fire District number 2 or from the Wyoming State Fire Inspector. We've received no public comments. P&Z reviewed this on August 17th of this year. They recommended approval. Their second condition was a weed inspection report. That condition has been met. Their third condition was that Merit Energy submit the project to Game and Fish for review via that sage grouse density calculator tool. Their fourth condition was an engineering review from Park County Public Works. That condition has been met. So, Madam Chair, in terms of compatibility and impacts, Merit Energy basically responded that there won't be much of a disturbance regarding this tower. It really is a tiny, tiny footprint. They've done things to prevent birds that are flying from hitting the tower and the wires. This tower will not be within 20 feet of any county road right of way. No covenants are existing or proposed. To our knowledge, there won't be any lights even on the tower. The property has no nonconformities and no nuisances have been reported. We did not ask the applicant to contact the Conservation District for a soils review. We thought that was unnecessary. Access again exists from County Road 3FK. This use will not need irrigation water. This parcel is not in an irrigation district. There should be no impacts on irrigation facilities. We considered parking. Obviously, parking after construction should just be for maintenance. So we feel like a drive to this tower should be adequate. This use will not require any septic systems. The electricity for this tower will be supplied by Merit Energy's own substation. No signs are proposed, and this use should not generate any solid waste. Site plan review is required for major utility use. Again, because of the conditions of this use, site plan review is not required for this communication tower. Madam Chair, we recommend approval of this SUP for Merit Energy. Our conditions for you to consider are: 1, Park County noise, lighting, and other nuisance regulations shall apply. Number 2 was in regard to a weed inspection report. We do have that letter from Mary McKinney, so you might want to think about removing condition number 2. Our condition number 3 was the applicant shall submit a project to Wyoming Game and Fish for review via their density disturbance calculator tool to assess that SGEO compliance course, with sage grouse prior to commencement of construction activities. And then our fourth recommended condition was the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in the Park County Development Standards and Regulations. And we're happy to answer questions should you have any.
I have one or two. You mentioned there'd be a shack for control. Is that gonna require a building permit? And is that all part of the process that they know they have to do?
My conclusion is that, usually with what we've done in the past, Madam Chair, I guess the short answer is my conclusion is no. Typically with other communication towers, when they've had cabinets and things like that, that have been located within, typically they have a compound with a fence.
Mhm.
We've not required that to have a building permit. What are your thoughts? We may talk with Joy about it. She may ask them to get a building permit because it is a building.
I just wondered where it fell in the process.
Yeah, we've not discussed that.
The other thing is, you mentioned this is a replacement. Was there an SUP for the person, or was it old enough that it was not under that process, or?
I do not know the
Don't know.
answer to
Okay.
that.
I just wondered why we would, what the process is, why we'd have to review it for a replacement if that actually existed. But it may not, it may be old enough that
Likely it was,
okay.
because they talk about this tower deteriorating, so I assume it's
Been there a while.
not new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions at this time from the commissioners? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I would ask if there's any public comment. Any public comment?
Close public hearing, Madam Chair.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the commissioners?
Move to approve, Madam Chair, with condition number 2 being removed. It was number 2, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve Tower for Merit Energy SUP 242, removing condition number 2. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes.
All right, thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
You bet.
Okay, we have
They
a,
can put up that tower by using the existing building that is still there.
oh,
They
that
just-
might be,
So they're just replacing the tower and the microwave.
won't be added. Okay. Still know what that process is. but I have to. Okay,
They're not in the same place.
No.
You look at the-
yeah,
Is
they're-
it
they're
either
using
part
different
it is
locations.
314 goes quite a little distance apart.
Are we officially on break?
Yes,
That's possible.
yes.
Power on BLM property than
I sent
county
you,
property.
Is anybody in Denver?
Send Otis.
Or do you have a lot more paperwork if you go through BLM?
Says in conversations he had with you.
The actual, you mean for like merit? the
Yeah,
actual
like for merit,
process?
yeah.
I assume there's paperwork since it's
We're close enough. We have a public hearing for liquor license transfer, Wapiti Valley Meats Limited Liability Corporation. Carrie Smith, Park County Clerks.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. As you stated, I am Carrie Smith. I work in the Park County Clerk's office as the second deputy. And I'll be presenting for your consideration the county retail liquor license transfer from Brad Wegler, which operates under Wapiti Valley Meats, to Wapiti Valley Meats LLC, which will operate under that same trade name of Wapiti Valley Meats. Wapiti Valley Meats LLC is in good standing with the State of Wyoming Board of Business Division. And the liquor license transfer documents were approved by the State of Wyoming Liquor Division. Wapiti Valley Meats is applying for a combination on-off premise liquor license. This is a little bit different from how it was held before, where it was only a package store. This will have both a bar and a package store, and they plan to operate from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, during the months of July to December. A public hearing notice regarding the county retail liquor license ownership transfer for Wapiti Valley Meats has been ran in both the Cody Enterprise and the Powell Tribune. Starting September 8th and then the 15th. We've had no public comment in the clerk's office as of this time. If the transfer is approved, the permit will run from today, which is September 20th to July 24th of 2023. All transfer fees have been paid in full to the county clerk's office, so we don't have to worry about that. I guess at this time, I'll turn it back over to you
Okay.
for your consideration.
Any questions from the commissioners at this point?
I have one that doesn't really, how many of these type of liquor license permits are available through the county?
I think there's
I think we have
15 and we have 4 more available.
There's still 4 more out there.
some available overall, but we have 4.
Oh, pardon.
I think we have
Mhm.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'd ask if there's any public comment on this liquor license transfer. Any public comment?
Madam Chair, I move to close public hearing.
Second,
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Motion passes. That's the pleasure of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the liquor license transfer.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the transfer as requested. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, hand.
See you guys. Take care.
Mhm.
Well, you're just way ahead of schedule.
Some are short and some are not.
Did you think there'd be a 10-minute discussion on the liquor transfer?
Hey, I don't. Yeah.
It's Molly's fault.
Molly,
It's actually what they're given, yeah. Oh, this will take about 10 minutes. Okay. Some of them may have done that in the past. They get a little bit confusing. You said we do have bids received, Colleen, for the next. Okay. Madam Chair. Thank you. I'm assuming we're expecting the sheriff.
Our first speaker at the Waco is Civility.
Oh,
Deliberately engaging in relationships and respect and empathy with others.
a little bit of that going on. Trying to get a little bit of that going on. You saw the eccentric.
Dismantling injustices.
Dismantling?
Interesting way to put it.
That was funny. Gave him permission to do the parking lot, wasn't with us.
Oh, yeah.
Not surprising whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
These are today's. These are today's. Um, This morning. Let's stop. Do you see Scott anywhere?
General's running late today.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
go.
Might as well, yeah. Geez.
We're gonna jump around just a little bit. We had a 10:55, Clark County Planning and Zoning Director requesting approval to go out for bids, RFPs on the regulation amendments for land use.
Good morning. So as you know, we're going to be closing up our land use plan project at the end of the year. And we discussed that following that effort, we need to update our regulations to match the messages in that plan. And so we discussed going out for bid to see what we could get in terms of help from a consultant to do that. We do anticipate it'll be a large effort, potentially a solid rewrite of the regs with a new zoning map for the county. So I propose that we put this project out for bid to see what the estimates would be to complete this project. Thinking about putting the RFP out as quickly as possible, possibly holding a question and answer session on October 11th at 4 p.m. Having the proposals due by November 4th. And then that would allow time for the selection committee to meet once or twice before we would have interviews at the end of November. So that's my proposal for putting this out. Should you agree that that's the action you want to take?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Joy, are there multiple companies that we have that do this sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, all the ones that propose on the land use plan also do code and regulatory development. They identified that in their proposals, so.
Joy, what are your plans for advertising?
So we'll do the same that we did for the land use plan. We put it out on WyoPass, which is the Wyoming Planners Association, Western Planner, which is part of the American Planning Association. We also do newspaper advertising and put it on the website. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we put it out on a GovBid site as well, which is a common place for people to get this information. Yeah, so we do cast the net fairly wide.
Right.
And we also do send emails to folks that we know do this kind of work.
That have responded in the past.
Mhm. Yeah, and we will do the same this time.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Does Clarion also submit? Do you expect them to submit?
I would expect them to submit. I can't predict if they will or not, but I would assume they would want to do that.
Any other questions?
And I didn't mention it, but I'm hoping the timeline for this effort would end at the end of next year so that the rules would be in place for the new year in 2024. That's an aggressive deadline, but I think everybody's pretty clear that they want to move things along, so we will try to accommodate that.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Planning Director Joy to advertise a request for proposal for amendment regulations.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve going out for RFPs on the regulation amendments. Any further discussion? None, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Okay, I will have the draft of the request for proposals to you for review, and I will ask for expedited review if you're able to. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we're gonna jump back for Sheriff, please. This would be for vehicle bids.
My apologies for being late. You say it was an emergency and we have to accept that.
Yeah.
Come on.
It
was an emergency.
Yeah. You're busy defending Park County.
There you go.
So we have two bids here. Looks like Fremont Motor of Cody and Middle.
And what are we bidding on?
4 trucks.
Okay.
And what we had to do is typically we trade, 4 for 4, 3 for 3. We've got into a situation now where we have no spare. So we're actually gonna bid 4 new trucks, but we're only gonna trade in 3. So we have a spare. And this is a little early than we normally bid, but we're kind of trying to get ahead of the curve.
And who's that?
So first one I have here is Danny Minholt. They have 4 new Chevy Silverado 1500 crew cab pickups. And I think in moving forward too, we're gonna have to be somewhat lenient on some of these bids because we're finding out that some manufacturers can't bid fleet right now, some can't bid certain things. So certainly some of the exceptions we're gonna have. In fact, they've noted one here, and I've spoke with Mr. Miller about is the exception on the power seat for the driver. There's just some of them because we can't go a year without getting new trucks. We're still waiting on the 4 that we have ordered right now.
Do without power seats.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we're going to certainly have to do some exceptions because we just can't go a year without getting new trucks. It'll put us too far behind down the road. So what he has here, Damon Hunnelt, is after trade-in, $132,500. And he does note the exception of the power seats.
So that's 4 trucks for 132,500 after trade of 3 trucks. Correct?
Sorry.
Is that after? I'm sorry.
That's after trade. So what we've got listed is here's a 178,500 and then 46,000 for the trades, for the 3 trades.
Okay.
Just kind of, I'm curious, how many miles do we have on the trucks we're trading in?
Usually 100,000 or plus. Our policy says 85,000 is what it says for emergency vehicles, but we've never able to do that. In fact, the ones we're trading this year, I think every single one of them is pushing, or the ones that we have currently waiting for the new trucks are pushing probably 120.
Okay.
And one of them is, one of these to be pushed in the driveway. I'm driving my personal rig today because the other one wouldn't start. Oh, okay. So the second quote would be after trade-ins would be 158,500. And it says these will be ordered with new units through retail order platform.
Are they different trucks, different? Oh,
I don't know if Mr. Miller wants to.
Yes. Commissioners, the first quote is what we call WT work trucks. It's excluding the power seat. The next bid that I have in there is called LTs. And that's kind of your average nice truck right in the middle. If the power seats and they would way more than meet the specifications there, but there is quite a price difference. And then my quotation on there is that we are ordering these through the retail platform because this fleet is shut down. They got all they can build. So what I'm going to do is basically use my allocations that I get for the 23s as we get them to fulfill these orders. It's very difficult to predict the future. Like I said in there, worldwide constraints, but I know that the sheriff is in a pinch and somewhere we got to do something to try. Like what all 4 doesn't mean all 4 come in at once. They can struggle. Yeah. We'll do everything our power to get.
So there was no estimate there on delivery time for these trucks.
No, and I think that's one thing that I talked to both Fremont and Bert about is I don't know how we can faithfully, honestly give them have them put a time limit on or when the delivery time would be because it's just, like I say, we're still waiting on 4 right now.
Could you do training on how to use our regular vehicles?
Oh, yes, we can. I think for that amount of money, we can. Okay.
Fremont.
This is Fremont, Cody. And they bid here, 2013 Ram, 1500 SSV.
2013 or two thousand
I'm sorry,
twenty-three?
2023.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. Yeah, we take what we get at this point.
It's like, whoa.
Again, so 3 trade-ins. The total after trade-ins would be 114,740. So that's 4 Rams, 1500s, 3 trade-ins. For 114,740. And obviously I'm gonna need to go back and make sure what we have going on.
Well, there's a quick question. I mean, Bert here has already said that he can guarantee delivery at some point in time. And what a 3 month thing.
ETA to be determined. What it says. So I would just ask that I can go back and review them and,
We're not here this afternoon.
okay,
So I didn't know what your time frame is, or if these are good for 30 days, then we could do it at the next meeting. Or finalize it, or we can. I don't know what the board wants to do. Bert,
Commissioners, I would tell you, no matter what bid you choose, time is of the essence. Because we have other sold orders in. And what we do basically is when, say, if you've got 10 sold orders for halftime pickups, we'll have probably 2 pages of constraints, which means you can't have this with that, and this with that, and we just keep going down until we get these orders fulfilled. And you're probably looking, in my order cycle, about 8 months, as on out to the next year. So time is truly of the essence. I mean, I will do everything in my power. I think my track record has shown I've always been able to deliver. If there's going to be some leeway, Commissioner Todd, I appreciate you with the guarantee. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to get your truck.
Yeah.
But I'm at the mercy of the factory. So.
what are the thoughts?
Madam Chair, Scott, do you have any other vehicle replacements in this budget year?
no, but what I can say is, regardless of which bid you take, we're gonna have to do some kind of a budget amendment, because I don't think.
Well,
we
I'm
have
looking, you
enough in
got
there.
163
Yeah, we've got, I think, 68 allocated for the
for
vehicles.
something else.
Well, for the vehicles that haven't bought yet,
waiting
that are
on.
not here. So we carried that over, cash carryover, because we haven't paid for the vehicles from last year yet. So I think whichever one we take, we're gonna have to do some kind of a budget amendment.
Well, if we're talking 8 months, it could be into the next one. We just don't know.
Hey,
Yeah,
So,
it's a dilemma for sure, but
what are your thoughts? As far as waiting?
Yeah, Scott, on Denny Manhole's first bid, I didn't get that number. Exactly.
132.
132,500.
How much?
132,500.
135.
132.
Oh, 132.5. Okay, all right. How much time are you gonna need to review these?
I mean, going off the face value, the only exception we would have that appears to me would be the power seats, which again, we can live without.
Yeah.
For that kind of money, for sure. I mean, it looks like there's no other notations that they don't conform to the bid specs.
You wanna wait? It'd be October 4th, up to Scott. You wanna wait? Do you wanna go through them?
I hate to see us wait any longer, but, and I think we've got 2 here that are comparable. Again, it's just, who knows who can get in the fastest, and that's unknown.
Well, that's.
Madam Chair, what trucks are you driving right now?
We've got a mixture. I would say we're about half and half between Chevys and Dodge.
So Madam Chair, this question has got reviewed, you review these and we go into session next week and.
We don't meet next week. We've got 2 weeks in
So
most.
it'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be October 4th, which as Bert mentioned, that's 2 weeks down the road, but. The other thing is if you want to take a few more minutes to go read, we've got one other agenda item. We could wait until, give you 45 minutes or something to do it. You
We've
want to go
got,
do that? Okay. We'll take a look at what you've got and we'll do the planning
Okay.
and zoning thing and then have you come back in.
sounds great.
That work?
Yeah. What time frame do you think of?
30 minutes,
Okay.
45 minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
30 minutes. Okay, thanks.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Bert.
You guys are welcome.
Let's do back in on that.
Fremont actually has a sale on those 1500s right now. 0% financing for 72 months
On which?
on the Ram 1500.
Yeah. Those do no good for me.
0% financing.
Selling it?
Right now, but with a couple more,
What year is that one again?
11 or 12.
The mileage on it.
It's-
I'm looking at one for Alex right now.
Oh.
So I might be interested, because I know the truck,
Yeah, you do.
other than Rob driving his probably. pretty sure.
Yeah, like he doesn't take care of it.
That's what I was saying, I know the truck.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is a corrected final plat for MW simple subdivision number 293. So we have Jenny and Kim with the planning department again.
Okay, so Madam Chair and Commissioners, you probably remember considering the final plat application of the MW simple subdivision SS 293 at your regular meeting. It is exempt parcel A on the record of survey, and that's the second handout that I gave you in case you wanted to look at that. And it was recorded previously in Book P, page 48, in the office of the Park County Clerk and Recorder. The survey contained descriptions for 4 individual parcels, large acre exempt parcels. The warranty deed, however, conveying the property intended for the subdivision, erroneously referenced the PLSS slots instead of those 4 newly configured exempt parcels as described on the survey. So because of this error, the parcel shown on the MWSS 294 depicted as that exempt parcel 1 did not legally exist at the time of the final plat approval on August 22nd. So to remedy this, a corrective warranty deed has since been filed in the clerk's office under document number 2022-5121, thereby legally creating the property intended for the subdivision on the plat that was approved. So the final plat of the MWSS 293, that was the first handout I gave you, has been revised to include the corrective warranty deed document reference. So fix that. So, and pursuant to our regulations under Chapter 3, Section 4, subsection I, any significant deviations, amendments, or alterations to an accepted final plat must come before the Board of County Commissioners for consideration. So that's why we just wanted to take this extra measure to make sure you understood that. And so we're seeking your approval of the final plat as amended of the MW simple subdivision or the MWSS 293. And we're here to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners? Understanding what changed?
Madam Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the corrected final plat for MW simple sub number 293. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
That's your first solo play. You did well.
Does it mean in the
Think so.
resolution? Okay, 2022-95.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was pretty quick. Now we'll just wait on Scott,
Yeah, that's right.
but it's better than 2 weeks. That's for him.
Hmm.
You have anything else hanging? No. Deal with. Okay. Okay, after review, Sheriff, are you ready to make a recommendation to us on the vehicles?
Well, I don't know. It's a tough dilemma, you know. We're talking, you know, a little less than $20,000 difference between the three or the four. but, it's tough. I mean, I know where we're sitting with our Dodges right now. Almost a year later, we're still waiting. And certainly it's no fault of anybody here. It's just the way the system works. I'm visiting with Mr. Miller, he talked about being able to possibly flip some GMCs in there for the same price and some of that. It's just, it's a crapshoot, no doubt about it. We definitely need some trucks and, we're keeping ours serviceable and keeping them working and doing the best we can. I don't think we're jeopardizing any safety by any means, or
You aren't actually gonna make a recommendation.
well, no, I am. I'm just,
Okay.
it's a tough one to swallow. I just know what the situation we're in and where we've been. And I think that honestly, that the extra money for the Chevys or GMCs, wherever we get is going to produce vehicles quicker for us, just based on experience. And go ahead.
Sheriff, and this might be a question for Bert, but and I think you mentioned there was a difference in warranty between the Dodge and the Chevys. Is that a significant component?
And I think it is, because I guess Mr. Miller can talk about that, but I'm pretty sure theirs is 100,000 compared to what they've stated here is a 60,000 mile warranty.
Madam Chair, also, I take give a lot of weight to the fact that Mr. Miller's here representing his company and ready to answer questions and work with us. And with that being said, I'm going to make a motion to accept the bid from Denny Menholt for $132,500 for the 4 vehicles.
Second.
Minus the power sheets. We're good.
We're good. We got bookcases.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proposal from Denny Menholt for the 4 Chevy or GMC 1500 crew cabs, $132,500. Any further discussion?
Just a point of, we've nitpicked $18,000 for, so you're looking at a much cheaper price for the other ones, so. Just, we're gonna be looking at seat cushions here pretty soon for dollars, and 18,000 is quite a bit. So just to save the county some money, I would like to go with the lower bid.
Commissioner Keel?
I somewhat agree with Commissioner Mangold. We need to really seriously watch our P's, and it is a small change. However, when we're down vehicles and we're getting high mileage, I mean, we currently have Dodges on order. We still haven't got, how much longer are those going to be? So getting them here and I'm supporting the Chevys simply because we may end up getting them sooner than even the ones from last year. We can't patrol. Don't think our sheriff's office, on foot and bicycle. Horseback. So, had it not been the supply chain issue, I definitely would go for the cheaper machine vehicles for taxpayers purposes. But without them, we have an obligation to for the sheriff's department to patrol. So.
Well, Madam Chair, I just got one quick question I'll ask Scott, and we've had GM products, Chevy products in the fleet before. Do you see a difference as far as the performance of the vehicles, Dodge versus Chevy or Ford?
They all have their independent issues at times. We had one particular issue with a newer Chevy truck, and I commend Bert and Danny Menholz. It was eating up tires like there was no tomorrow, and they replaced a lot of those for nothing because it was an issue we couldn't figure out. They couldn't figure out, and it turned out it was a factory issue with 2 different gear ratios in the front and the rear end, and they replaced everything 100%. I think we only paid for 1 set of tires, and that wasn't odd. We had 3 vehicles that year that came from Chevy, and that was the only one that did it. And then we've had issues with Dodge too, header issues, suspension. They all have their own little issues. But the one thing I will say is when we had that one real issue with that Dodge truck or that Chevy, that they really took care of it. And like I say, I know they replaced at least 2 to 3 set of tires at no cost. Wow. And so they all have their little little issues. Just depends on what you want to, whether it's suspension or,
Sure.
yeah. And so I would say, we have a pretty good fleet tracking system where it comes to maintenance. So each vehicle is assigned a number. We track maintenance. And I would say when it comes down to it, our biggest issues are deer strikes. That's, and it doesn't matter whether it's Chevy or Dodge, they all take them the same. But I can't point at one better than the other.
If I could, the only other comment that I'd make, and normally in a perfect world, normal scenario, I'd certainly. Commissioner Mann, today with the supply chain values and everything we've had. And Burton at dealership has served us very well over the years, and just as Scott pointed out, so I'm certainly gonna vote in favor of the motion.
Any further discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Go.
Motion passes.
Appreciate your time.
Did you get any
Thanks,
bids out of
Scott. Thank you,
Idaho?
Bert. Appreciate it.
Did you get any bids out of Idaho?
Actually, what we did, it's hard to say, just for we reached out broader than we've ever done.
You trying to get them back in Jersey?
Send them to Gillette, Casper, Sheridan. We actually sent bids all over.
You tried back in Jersey?
No. That's why Vito was out of business. We can do it federal time.
Thanks, Scott. A couple of us will recall that. Move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Great job.